born in what they called a maternity home in the town of Aiken. It was the same as a regular school. We went to public school in Aiken.
Okay.
Because when your Aunt Eileen was going to school there was only she and 4 other kids, and they could send them to Aiken for the big cost of $25 a month, which you cannot run a school for $25 a month. So they closed the school and sent them all to Aiken. I think Eileen was in about 3rd grade. Well, we had Dan and Jim, and when they got too old to work, then I suppose they went to Fox Farm somewhere. And then my dad got Queen and Nellie. And that was the horses. We only had 2 horses at a time. We got the power plant, and we could have a bathroom, because we'd run direct current, but you could only run engines, so we could pump water. But no thing like radio. We could have lights and engine, and like a pump that run the water. But you couldn't have such stuff as electric irons or electric radios or that kind of stuff.
Radio?
For a while, but just exactly, I have no idea. I don't remember that. And I don't know if Elfie ever could remember that. And Eileen was gone by that time. It was a slow rising flood. So finally it got up and filled up our whole yard. But before that did that, then the skunks wanted to move up. And one could have gotten in the house if he had been discovered on the south side of the house. The door was open. One was in the barn, and your grandma put a pail over him. I don't know what they did with him after. And I found one in the chicken coop eating eggs out of a nest. Something told me, don't put my hand in that nest, so I didn't. I looked instead, and there was a skunk. So your Uncle Vernon came out with a .22, and he shot the skunk and sent all the chickens into a frenzy with all that banging going on. And they came in and they took our animals, all our young stock that we didn't have to keep home. We had to keep the milk cows home so we could milk them. But all the rest went over to our neighbor's sister's place at north of Crosby. And they came in with army ducks, which were amphibious equipment. They had you would go on land on the track until the water got too deep. Then it would turn into a boat. And they took the cattle out there across somewhere and meant a trucker that hauled the cattle the rest of the way. And we got home. We stayed home from Easter on, so we missed 6 weeks of school, which we did not have to make up because of the flood. And Uncle Elfie had to go out and chase down, help Bob Cook find where the telephone line was fouled up, because the telephone went out, and we had to have the phone to call town to order our groceries and so that the Coast Guard would know what to bring out to us or what to take back. And they found a spot where it was hanging in the water, and they cut it, and they said when they tied it together, somebody was ringing at the same time, and they got a shock out of it. The first time we got off the place was we took the boat across the river to where the car was and went to some Walt Disney movie. Remember which one? Finally got the car home in July sometime. First it was parked across the river And they took the boat down the lagoon, down the river, up through this pasture and this ditch to get to the car. And then after a while, then they ended up about 3 miles away from home, where they took the tractor with the two-wheel trailer out there. And that was the flood. It was nothing, a big rush water. It slowly kept creeping up closer and closer and closer. In the spring of the senior year of high school, they had, the congregational minister had a list of his sermons for Lent, and my dad liked the sound of them, so he started going there. But that's the first time he went. We'd gone. My uncle, my brothers, and me were confirmed together at the Lutheran Brethren Church. And Donna was confirmed at the Lutheran Brethren Church when she got older by herself. I mean, not just by herself, but by the only one in the family at that time. At St. Luke's, you had to stay in the dorms, one dorm or the other, or they had 3 before we got done. We had 6 months of some of the classes we took up at the university. Anatomy, physiology, chemistry. You couldn't tell the difference between until we got to dissecting stuff in anatomy and physiology class. Then you walked in there and you saw some people doing cats and these other girls were doing pigs. And so you knew which ones were the nurses. They did the baby pigs. The pig was closer to what a human is than a dead cat. Three years. Yeah, we had to work for every department. Threading the needles, because we didn't have, nowadays they have the sutures hooked onto the needle when it comes from the factory. And I was helping in surgery, and it must have been the orthopedic guy, because there was, the orthopedic man was there too. And I said, I have trouble threading needles, so it might be slow. So the doctor that was doing the surgery started putting on a cast after a while, and this real fussy, I think he was the orthopedic guy, specialist, and he was real crabby. He and I had to stand and hold this guy's leg so he could put the cast on it. And then he's saying to me, "Beautiful, beautiful brown eye." Beautiful brown eyes, I'll never love blue eyes again. It was one of these crabby old characters, and he did something like that. And then I had another doctors that would always talk. They always were joke and talk a lot, and they loved to, when I was helping them in surgery, call me Queenie. And I kept wanting to say, "Don't call me that, that's the name of our horse." You didn't go to class all the time, but you had to work. And you had to put in so many hours of work. Because I had 2 friends, one that was, because she had been sick, she wasn't allowed to come back to the school she had started out in Minneapolis. So, but Duluth would take her. And another friend ended up having her appendix out, and so she had to stay. So those 2 had to work, had to go to school after the rest of us kids got done, because they had to make up that time they couldn't, the hours they had. we had to go to Moose Lake. We had to go to Nopeming, that was TB. Moose Lake was psych. Then we had rural nursing, and either we went to Grand Rapids or Duluth, Bemidji. And I got to go to Grand Rapids.
Okay.
And that's where I decided I wanted to come back. So they said I could come back. But no, because I came from here, from Aiken, to Duluth, to nurses training, then to Grand Rapids. I went there for rural nursing. And I liked it, and I said to Swenny, as we called her, that was head nurse, that superintendent of nurses, I wouldn't mind coming back here. She said, okay, come back. Oh. And some of the doctor says, well, I hear you're coming back. You know? Good. I'm going to take Donna to Washington, D.C. to show her that because she had helped him on the farm. So we went to Washington, D.C. Somebody decided to go to the movie, and that was the one. We got some cheap seats up in the balcony, and they were more perfect than anywhere you could have. You get down front, you would have to sit there with your neck cranked up. Or someplace maybe you'd have to, but where we sat, you could look straight out on the screen, and you didn't have to tip your head down or tip it up. Yeah, I mean, I don't care if I see it again or not. I mean, that is immaterial, but I mean, because it's a long one. Yeah, and then I found out that it was cut, because they cut out some of the funniest part that I liked. When Luther and Bloody Mary were arguing about something.
I trade you Boss tooth bracelet for all grass skin.
It's a deal.
Oh, wait a minute. It's no deal till you throw in something for good luck.
Okay. What do you want me to throw in?
$100. Good luck.
Now, wait a minute. Now, wait a minute.
I asked her if she knew her mother had told her I had moved to Twin Valley, and Margaret said no, and so she and her husband came over and picked me up and introduced your dad and I to it at church. No, I'm not sure if Danny and Margaret did it, or if Sitco started doing it, because they lived in Newland. And went to church in Ada. That was Danny and Margaret that done talk. I don't know how many weeks later when they fixed that one up. A few others, the preacher, and this couple from Newland that would pick me up and take me to church, because there's Newland here, and then Twin Valley, and then Ada. And they went to Ada too, so they would pick me up. And this couple from Halstead used to be, well, the guy grew up just down the road from where Ray grew up. And then he ended up, his brother-in-law married this gal from Duluth, and he talked Lloyd up to meeting this other gal.
How did you ever end up going way out to Dakota?
So, they were, anyhow, and they helped instigate that between the five of them, they instigated it so that they could, Fred and Norma couldn't take me home because they had to have this meeting, and I could hear them laughing in the background. And Alice got sent outside to get a hold of Ray. Said, Ray, take her home, why don't you? And that's what got us started.
So he started.
The first official date didn't turn out because it was the same night they were having a the Christmas party at work, and your dad was going to come and get me and take me out somewhere. Then he stopped downtown because Twin Valley had lots of stores back in those days, like Ada had too. And he stopped downtown. He couldn't get his car to start. So then he had to call up and say, "I can't come. I can't get my car to go." So when he got it going, I don't know how he got it going, but then he took off for back home here. I mean up north. I don't remember. Yeah, well, that's the day his car didn't want to start. They had the potato house at Cyree, and Cyree and Twin Valley isn't that far apart. Of course, the building isn't there anymore. So if you go over there to check to see that the potato house is okay, well, you're not that much further to go if you wanted to go to Twin Valley, because they had lots of stores in Twin Valley. Not like now. Mrs. Onstead would always, she'd hear somebody knocking on my door, and she'd have to peek around the corner to see who it was. And then as soon as I opened the door, then she'd sneak back in her room. Yeah, he first came in the main door, and then they said, "Show him that side door." So then he didn't have to go through the whole lobby. And no, I know my mother wanted to know, well, how do you know she can cook? That's all I can remember. Your dad did not want a wedding ring because he's known people that almost lost their fingers because their wedding ring would get caught on something.